In the year 2147, humanity stood on the brink of a new era. Space exploration had become routine, but nothing could have prepared them for what they found orbiting Saturn's moon Titan. It was a colossal alien starship, abandoned and eerily silent, drifting like a ghost in the cold void of space. The ship, later named Erebus, stretched over 10 kilometers long, its sleek surface shimmering with an otherworldly glow. Strange symbols etched into its hull pulsed faintly, as if alive, mocking the humans who dared approach it. Captain Elena Vasquez led the team sent to investigate. She was a seasoned officer known for her calm under pressure, but even she felt a chill as their shuttle docked with the massive vessel. Her crew consisted of Earth's brightest minds. Dr. Isaac Kim, a linguist skilled in deciphering ancient languages. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Hale, a hardened soldier with years of combat experience. And Engineer Priya Patel, whose genius had saved countless missions. Together, they represented humanity's hope of unlocking the secrets hidden within Erebus. As the airlock hissed open, the team stepped cautiously onto the alien ship. Their boots clanged against the metallic floor, echoing through the vast emptiness. The interior was dimly lit by faint blue lights embedded in the walls, casting long shadows that danced unnervingly around them. Everything was foreign. Smooth, curved surfaces replaced sharp edges, and the air carried a strange metallic tang. There were no signs of life, but the ship didn't feel dead. It felt waiting. "This place gives me the creeps," muttered Marcus, gripping his weapon tightly. He scanned the area, his eyes darting between every shadow. "Stay focused," Elena said firmly, though her own unease was evident. "We're here to learn, not to jump at every sound." Dr. Kim knelt beside one of the glowing symbols carved into the wall. His gloved fingers traced its intricate patterns. "These markings, they're some kind of language. If I can decode them, we might understand why this ship was abandoned." Priya wandered toward a console nearby, her curiosity overpowering her caution. Her scanner beeped wildly as she examined the device. "This technology is incredible," she whispered, awestruck. "It's centuries ahead of anything we've built. Look at these circuits. They're practically organic." Before anyone could respond, a low hum filled the chamber. Lights flickered brighter, and panels along the walls began to activate. The team froze, exchanging wary glances. "Did we trigger something?" Marcus asked, raising his weapon. "I don't think so," Priya replied, studying her readings. "It's like the ship knows we're here. It's waking up." The group pressed forward, navigating winding corridors lined with more glowing symbols and dormant machines. Each step revealed something new. A room filled with crystalline structures humming softly, another containing pods that looked suspiciously like stasis chambers. But it was the control center that left them speechless. At its heart loomed a massive sphere suspended midair, pulsating with energy. Surrounding it were holographic displays showing maps of star systems, weapons schematics, and what appeared to be biological data. "It's a warship," Marcus breathed, staring at the weapons diagrams. And whatever made this thing wasn't playing games. But amidst the awe-inspiring discoveries, Elena noticed something troubling. Scattered across the logs and displays were fragmented warnings written in the same alien script. One phrase repeated itself: "The Devourer." Whatever, or whoever, it was, it clearly terrified the ship's creators enough to abandon their masterpiece. "We need to be careful," Elena warned, her voice steady but firm. "This ship holds power beyond our understanding. Power comes with consequences." As the team prepared to delve deeper, none of them realized just how right she was. Erebus wasn't merely a relic of the past. It was a ticking time bomb, waiting to unleash forces humanity couldn't comprehend. The eerie silence of Erebus weighed heavily on the team as they delved deeper into its labyrinthine corridors. Each step revealed new wonders and new dangers. Dr. Isaac Kim, armed with his scanner and a growing sense of urgency, focused intently on deciphering the alien symbols etched into walls, floors, and even ceilings. The glowing glyphs seemed to shift subtly under his gaze, almost as if they were alive, watching him in return. This language isn't just complex, it's adaptive, Isaac muttered to himself, jotting down notes on his tablet. It changes depending on context. These aliens weren't just intelligent, they were poetic. Priya Patel hovered nearby, tinkering with a panel that had partially activated when she touched it earlier. Her fingers moved deftly over unfamiliar circuits, her face lighting up with excitement every time she made progress. If I can figure out how these systems interface, we might be able to bring parts of the ship online, she said, glancing at Isaac. But without understanding what you're reading, we're flying blind. Isaac nodded, though his expression remained tense. He knew time was running out. The longer they stayed aboard Erebus, the more unsettling things became. Strange noises echoed through the halls. Metallic groans, faint whispers, and distant thuds that sent shivers down their spines. Even Marcus Hale, who prided himself on his nerves of steel, found himself gripping his weapon tighter with each passing hour. "Focus, people," Captain Elena Vasquez reminded them sharply as she joined the group. She carried an air of authority, but couldn't hide the flicker of unease in her eyes. "We're here to learn, not to get spooked by shadows." Despite her words, no one could ignore the growing sense that something, or someone, was watching them. Hours turned into days as Isaac worked tirelessly to crack the alien code. Finally, he made a breakthrough. A series of fragmented messages began to form coherent phrases. One stood out above all others. "Beware the devourer." "What does that mean?" Priya asked, leaning over his shoulder. "I don't know yet," Isaac admitted, frustration evident in his voice. "But whatever it is, it scared the original crew enough to abandon this ship. Look at this log. They mentioned sealing off sections of the vessel before leaving. They were trying to contain something." Marcus frowned, scanning the darkened hallway behind them. "Contain what? And where's the rest of the crew? There's no sign anyone's been here for centuries." Before anyone could answer, the lights dimmed briefly, then surged back to life. A low hum filled the chamber, followed by the sound of movement farther down the corridor. "Did you hear that?" Marcus whispered, raising his weapon. "Hear what?" Elena asked, though her hand instinctively went to the sidearm holstered at her hip. "It sounded like footsteps," Marcus replied grimly. Cautiously, the team moved toward the source of the noise. The corridor opened into a vast chamber filled with rows of cylindrical pods. Most were dark and empty, but a few emitted faint pulses of light. As they approached one, a holographic projection flickered to life. A towering insect-like creature with multiple limbs and glowing eyes. Its mouth opened wide, revealing rows of jagged teeth before the image dissolved into static. "That's what the devourer looks like," Priya gasped, taking a step back. "We need to keep moving," Elena ordered, though her voice betrayed her unease. "This ship has answers, but it also has traps. Stay alert." As they pressed on, Isaac couldn't shake the feeling that the ship itself was testing them. Every discovery brought both awe and dread. For every marvel they uncovered, a self-sustaining ecosystem, advanced weaponry, faster than light engines, they found another warning about the devourer. "This isn't just a ship," Isaac murmured as they regrouped near a central console. "It's a weapon, or maybe a prison. And now it belongs to us," Marcus said, his tone heavy with irony. But as the lights flickered again and a strange symbol lit up on the wall, none of them could ignore the sinking feeling in their chests. Had they unlocked Erebus' secrets or awakened its curse? The deeper the team ventured into Erebus, the more its secrets unfolded, and the more dangerous it became. Engineer Priya Patel had always been fascinated by technology, but nothing compared to the alien marvels aboard this ship. Every panel she touched seemed alive, responding to her presence with faint hums and glowing lights. Her excitement was palpable, though tinged with caution. "This is incredible," Priya whispered as she examined a control panel in what appeared to be an engineering bay. These circuits are unlike anything I've ever seen. They're not just mechanical, they're almost biological. She carefully extracted a small device from her toolkit and connected it to the panel. The screen on her tablet lit up with streams of data, much of it indecipherable. But one thing was clear. Parts of the ship were still functional, waiting for someone, or something, to reactivate them. "Priya, be careful," Captain Alina Vasquez warned, standing nearby with her arms crossed. "We don't know what will happen if you turn something on." "I'm just trying to understand how it works," Priya replied without looking up. "If we can bring some systems online, maybe we'll get closer to figuring out why the aliens left." Her fingers danced across the panel, and suddenly, the room came alive. Lights brightened, machines whirred to life, and a massive holographic display materialized above their heads. It showed a map of the galaxy, dotted with glowing points representing star systems. Some were labeled in the same alien script Dr. Isaac Kim had been studying. "This must be their navigation system," Isaac exclaimed, rushing over to examine the hologram. "If we can decode these labels, we might figure out where they came from, or where they were going." But the activation didn't stop there. A low rumble echoed through the ship as sections of the floor shifted, revealing hidden compartments filled with strange tools and devices. At the far end of the chamber, a massive door slid open, revealing a dimly lit corridor lined with glowing symbols. "Great job, Priya," Marcus Hale said dryly, gripping his weapon tightly. "Now we have even more places to explore, and probably more trouble to find." Ignoring his sarcasm, Priya continued working. She managed to access another console, this time triggering a series of diagnostic tests. The results were astonishing. Erebus' power core was still operational, albeit at minimal capacity. If they could fully restore it, the ship's capabilities would be limitless. However, each activation came with consequences. Moments after Priya rebooted part of the ship's internal network, alarms blared throughout the vessel. Red warning lights flashed, and automated defenses sprang to life. Panels along the walls opened, revealing sleek drones armed with energy weapons. "Take cover," Marcus shouted, diving behind a console as the drone zipped into the room. The team scattered, ducking behind whatever cover they could find. Alina drew her sidearm, firing blindly at the nearest drone while shouting orders. "Marcus, disable those things." "Priya, shut down the system." "I'm trying," Priya yelled back, frantically entering commands into her tablet. Sweat dripped down her forehead as she worked. Finally, the drones froze mid-flight, their glowing eyes dimming before they dropped to the floor with metallic thuds. Breathing heavily, the group regrouped. "What the hell was that?" Marcus demanded, glaring at Priya. "They weren't supposed to activate like that," she stammered, guilt written all over her face. "I thought I was isolating the systems." Alina stepped forward, her expression firm. "We need to establish protocols moving forward. This ship reacts unpredictably, and we can't afford mistakes." "Understood." Everyone nodded, though unease lingered in the air. As they surveyed the damage, Isaac noticed something peculiar, a faint pulse emanating from the central sphere in the control room. "That wasn't there before," he said quietly, pointing at the glowing orb. As they approached it cautiously, the pulse grew stronger, almost rhythmic. It felt like a heartbeat. "It's alive," Alina murmured, staring at the sphere. Whether it was the ship itself or something trapped within it, no one could say. But one thing was certain: Erebus wasn't done surprising them, and every step forward brought them closer to uncovering its darkest secrets. The discovery of the central sphere in Erebus had left the team uneasy. It pulsed with a steady rhythm, almost like a heartbeat, and seemed to respond to their presence. Dr. Isaac Kim stared at it intently, his mind racing with possibilities. Was this the ship's eye, a power source, or something else entirely? "This thing feels aware," Isaac muttered, glancing at Captain Alina Vasquez. "It might hold the key to understanding why the aliens abandoned this ship." Before Alina could respond, Marcus Hale interrupted, his voice sharp. Or it could be what they were trying to contain. We've already triggered enough surprises for one day. Ignoring him, Priya Patel stepped closer to the sphere, her scanner humming softly as she analyzed its surface. Whatever it is, it's connected to every system on the ship. If we can interface with it, we might finally gain control. But how? Elena asked, her tone cautious. We don't even know if it's safe. Isaac hesitated, then nodded toward a nearby console. There's a communication array embedded here. Maybe we can send a signal. Try to establish contact. With no better options, the team agreed to proceed. Using data from the alien logs he'd been decoding, Isaac programmed a basic greeting into the console. The message was simple. We are explorers. We mean no harm. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the sphere flared brightly, bathing the room in an intense blue light. A holographic projection appeared above it. A towering figure with elongated limbs and shimmering skin that shifted colors like liquid metal. Its glowing eyes locked onto the humans, and though its mouth didn't move, a distorted voice echoed through the chamber. You must leave, it said, the words translated imperfectly by Isaac's device. The devourer stirs. You cannot survive what comes next. The team froze, stunned. This was their first encounter with the ship's creators, or at least a representation of them. Wait, Isaac called out, stepping forward. Who are you? What is the devourer? The hologram flickered, its form wavering as if struggling to maintain cohesion. We built this vessel to harness untold power, but we failed. The devourer consumes all. Leave while you still can. Before anyone could ask more questions, the projection dissolved into static, leaving behind a string of coordinates displayed on the holographic map. The symbols matched those Isaac had seen earlier, star systems far beyond Earth's reach. What does it mean? Priya asked, staring at the map. Are these escape routes, or warnings about where the devourer is heading? Marcus tightened his grip on his weapon, his jaw clenched. Coordinates or not, I don't trust anything this thing says. For all we know, it's luring us into a trap. Belina shook her head, her expression thoughtful. No, it sounded desperate. Whatever the devourer is, it terrified them enough to abandon their own ship. We need to decide. Do we follow these coordinates, or do we stay and try to master Erebus ourselves? The debate grew heated. Marcus argued they should leave immediately, fearing the risks outweighed the rewards. Priya countered that abandoning such advanced technology would be a waste, especially when Earth desperately needed new resources. Isaac remained silent, his attention fixed on the sphere, which now pulsed faintly, as if listening. Finally, Elena raised her hand to quiet the group. Here's the plan. We'll stay for now, but we set up fail-safes. If things go wrong, we evacuate immediately. Understood. Everyone nodded reluctantly, though tension hung thick in the air. As they prepared to leave the control room, Isaac lingered behind, staring at the sphere. He couldn't shake the feeling that the ship wasn't just observing them, it was testing them. And then, without warning, the sphere emitted a low hum, projecting another image onto the wall. This time, it showed a monstrous creature engulfed in shadow, its many eyes glowing with malice. Beneath it, 2 words appeared in bold letters: Time runs short. As the projection faded, Isaac swallowed hard. Whatever the devourer was, it wasn't just a myth. It was real, and it was coming. The question was, would humanity be ready? The team stood in stunned silence, staring at the fading projection of the devourer. Its monstrous form had left an indelible mark on their minds. Glowing eyes, jagged teeth, and a presence so menacing it felt like the air itself was heavier. Captain Elena Vasquez broke the silence first, her voice firm but tinged with urgency. We don't have time to waste, she said, turning to face her crew. If the devourer is real, and I think we've seen enough evidence to believe it, we need to prepare. That means mastering Erebus before it's too late. Priya Patel nodded, already scanning the sphere for any signs of further interaction. This ship is our best chance. If we can unlock its full potential, we might stand a fighting chance against whatever's coming. With renewed determination, the team split up to explore different sections of the vessel. Priya focused on reactivating more systems, while Marcus Hale led security sweeps to ensure no other automated defenses would ambush them. Isaac Kim pored over the alien logs, searching for clues about the Devourer and how the original crew had tried to stop it. In the engineering bay, Priya made significant progress. By reverse engineering parts of the ship's technology, she managed to activate its weapon systems. She tested them cautiously, targeting nearby asteroids floating near Titan. The results were staggering. Beams of concentrated energy tore through rock as if it were paper. This firepower could defend Earth, Priya whispered to herself, awestruck by the destructive capability. But even as she marveled at the discovery, she couldn't ignore the cost. Each activation strained the ship's systems, causing temporary blackouts and triggering sporadic alarms throughout Erebus. Meanwhile, Isaac uncovered disturbing details about the aliens' experiments. Their goal had been to harness energy from collapsing stars, a process so volatile it nearly destroyed their civilization. Worse still, the Devourer wasn't just a threat. It was a creation born out of those experiments. Whatever they unleashed, it consumed entire worlds, Isaac told Elena during a briefing. His hands trembled slightly as he held up his tablet, displaying fragmented images of devastated planets. They tried to contain it, but it escaped. That's why they abandoned this ship, to seal it away. Marcus listened intently, his expression grim. So we're sitting on top of a ticking time bomb. Great, just what we needed. Despite the risks, Elena refused to give up. We didn't come this far to turn back now. We'll use everything we've learned to fortify ourselves. If the Devourer returns, we'll be ready. As days passed, the crew transformed Erebus into a formidable weapon. They adapted its cloaking device to hide from potential threats, upgraded its engines for faster-than-light travel, and even discovered a self-sustaining ecosystem capable of supporting life indefinitely. But the ship resisted their efforts at every turn. Lights flickered unpredictably, panels sparked without warning, and eerie whispers echoed through empty corridors. Some crew members reported vivid nightmares, visions of shadowy figures stalking them through the ship. It's like the ship doesn't want us here, one engineer confided to Priya. She dismissed the comment, though privately, she wondered if he was right. Every step forward came with new challenges, as if Erebus was testing their resolve. One evening, as Elena walked alone through the dimly lit halls, she paused near the central sphere. It pulsed faintly, almost rhythmically, as if breathing. For a moment, she thought she saw something, a flicker of movement within its glowing depths. "You're watching us, aren't you?" she murmured softly. The sphere didn't respond, but the sensation of being observed grew stronger. Elena shook her head, reminding herself of their mission. They had no choice but to push forward. For all its power, Erebus remained an enigma, a tool of unimaginable strength, yet burdened by secrets that threatened to consume them. And deep down, Elena feared they were only scratching the surface of what the ship truly hid. As the crew of Erebus continued to unlock its secrets, they began to realize that the ship was more than just a marvel of alien engineering. It was a vault of memories, painful, haunting fragments left behind by its original creators. Dr. Isaac Kim, driven by a mix of curiosity and dread, delved deeper into the alien logs stored within the central sphere. Each discovery painted a clearer picture of the aliens' downfall and humanity's precarious position aboard their abandoned vessel. Late one night, while the rest of the team rested, Isaac sat alone in the control room, his tablet glowing faintly in the dim light. The symbols on the sphere pulsed rhythmically, almost hypnotic, as he sifted through encrypted files. What he found chilled him to the bone. They weren't just experimenting with star energy, Isaac whispered, his voice trembling. They were trying to create life, sentient life, His fingers traced over a series of images depicting strange, amorphous creatures suspended in tanks filled with glowing fluid. These beings grew larger and more complex over time, until one day, something went horribly wrong. A rupture in containment unleashed chaos, a swirling mass of shadow and light consuming everything in its path. "This is the Devourer," Isaac murmured, staring at the final log entry. It wasn't just an experiment gone wrong. It evolved. It became intelligent. Before he could process the full implications, the lights flickered violently, and the sphere emitted a low hum. Isaac looked up, startled, as the holographic display reactivated without warning. This time, it showed not a map or a warning, but scenes from the past. The footage was grainy but unmistakable. Aliens scrambled through corridors identical to the ones the humans now occupied, their elongated limbs moving frantically as alarms blared. They sealed doors, activated containment fields, and ultimately fled the ship, leaving behind only silence. Isaac felt a cold sweat break out across his forehead. He called Captain Elena Vasquez immediately, knowing she needed to see this. When Elena arrived, her sharp eyes widened as she watched the playback. "So this is what happened here," she said softly. "They tried to contain it, failed, and ran. And now we're sitting right where they left off." Marcus Hale added, stepping into the room. His usual bravado was absent, replaced by unease. Priya Patel joined them moments later, carrying her scanner. She had been monitoring fluctuations in the ship's systems and noticed something alarming. "Guys, I've been picking up strange energy spikes near the lower decks. Whatever's down there, it's active." The group exchanged wary glances. "We need to investigate," Elena decided firmly. "If there's even a chance the Devourer, or whatever part of it remains, is still aboard, we can't afford to ignore it." Armed with weapons and tools, the team descended into the unexplored sections of Erebus. The air grew colder, and the walls seemed darker, almost oppressive. Strange noises echoed around them. Metallic groans, faint whispers, and the occasional sound of movement just out of sight. "Stay close," Marcus ordered, his weapon raised. They reached a massive chamber sealed behind reinforced doors. Priya worked quickly to override the lock, and when the doors slid open, they revealed rows of containment pods. Most were shattered, their contents long gone. But one pod remained intact, its surface fogged with condensation. Inside floated a shadowy figure, humanoid yet grotesque, its form constantly shifting as if alive. Its glowing eyes snapped open, locking onto the humans outside. "It's awake," Isaac breathed, taking a step back. The creature let out a guttural roar, slamming against the glass. Alarms blared throughout the ship, and the lights dimmed ominously. "We need to get out of here," Elena shouted, turning to flee. But as they ran, the sphere's pulse grew louder, more insistent. It wasn't just watching, it was reacting. And deep within Erebus, the shadows stirred once more. The roar of the shadowy creature echoed through the corridors of Erebus as the team sprinted toward safety. Their footsteps clanged against the metallic floor, blending with the ship's blaring alarms. Captain Elena Vasquez led the way, her mind racing. She had always known this mission was dangerous, but now it felt like they were playing with fire, an inferno that could consume them all. "Marcus, seal off the lower decks," she shouted over her shoulder. "We can't let that thing spread." Marcus nodded grimly, pulling up a holographic interface on his wrist device. He tapped furiously, rerouting power to emergency bulkheads. Behind them, heavy doors slammed shut, cutting off access to the containment chamber, but not before a faint scraping sound reached their ears. "It's still moving," Priya whispered, her voice trembling. "How is that possible?" No one answered. The question hung in the air, unspoken but undeniable. How could anything survive for centuries in stasis? And why did it feel like Erebus itself was aiding its escape? Back in the control room, tensions boiled over. The crew gathered around the central sphere, which pulsed erratically, almost tauntingly. Its glow seemed brighter now, as if feeding off their fear. "This isn't working," Marcus snapped, pacing back and forth. "Every time we activate something, the ship fights back. It's like it doesn't want us here. And yet we keep pushing forward," Elena countered sharply. "We don't have a choice. If the Devourer is real, and we've seen proof, it's only a matter of time before it finds us. We need to master this ship before that happens." Her words fell flat among some members of the group. A junior engineer named Ryan spoke up hesitantly, his voice barely audible. Maybe there's another way. What if we try to reboot the AI core? It might help us understand what's happening." Isaac frowned. "That's risky. We don't know what kind of protocols are tied to the core. Activating it could make things worse." But Ryan's suggestion planted a seed of doubt in the minds of others. Whispers spread throughout the room, growing louder until Elena raised her hand to silence them. "We stick to the plan," she said firmly. "We work together, or not at all." Later that night, however, trust began to crumble. Unbeknownst to the rest of the team, Ryan sneaked into the engineering bay, determined to prove himself. Armed with tools scavenged from Earth's tech, he bypassed security measures and accessed the dormant AI core buried deep within the ship. "This will change everything," he muttered under his breath, connecting his tablet to the core's interface. At first, nothing happened. Then the lights dimmed, and the hum of the ship grew louder. Panels along the walls lit up, displaying streams of alien code too fast for anyone to read. Suddenly, drones, long thought deactivated, sprang to life, their glowing eyes locking onto targets indiscriminately. Chaos erupted. Crew members scrambled for cover as energy blasts ricocheted through the halls. Marcus led a desperate counterattack, shouting orders while trying to disable the drones manually. "What did you do?" Elena demanded, storming into the engineering bay where Ryan stood frozen, his face pale with horror. I just wanted to help," he stammered. "I didn't mean for this to happen." Before she could respond, a drone burst through the doorway, forcing Elena to dive out of the way. Marcus arrived moments later, firing repeatedly until the machine collapsed in a shower of sparks. By the time the situation stabilized, 3 crew members lay dead, and trust among the survivors had shattered. "You betrayed us," Elena said coldly, glaring at Ryan. "Your actions put everyone at risk." Ryan hung his head, tears streaming down his face. "I'm sorry. I thought I could fix it." As the crew regrouped, the central sphere pulsed ominously, its light flickering red. For the first time, Elena realized the truth. Erebus wasn't just resisting them, it was punishing them. And the Devourer wasn't done waiting. The aftermath of Ryan's betrayal left the crew shaken, their unity fractured. Captain Elena Vasquez stood in the control room, staring at the central sphere, which now pulsed with an ominous red glow. Its rhythm was erratic, almost angry, as if Erebus itself was reacting to the chaos unleashed by the rogue engineer. 3 lives lost, countless injuries. And for what? A desperate gamble that had only deepened the mystery of the ship and its deadly secrets. "We can't keep going like this," Marcus Hale said, his voice low but firm. "Every step forward feels like 2 steps back. This ship doesn't want us here." Elena turned to face him, her expression grim. "We don't have a choice, Marcus. If we leave now, we abandon everything we fought for. Earth needs this ship. Humanity needs it. But at what cost?" Dr. Isaac Kim interjected, stepping closer. His eyes were bloodshot from lack of sleep, his face pale with exhaustion. "This isn't just about mastering technology anymore. The Devourer is real, it's alive, and it's tied to this ship. We're playing with forces we don't understand." Priya Patel nodded, clutching her tablet tightly. "And activating the AI core made things worse. Whatever Ryan did, it woke something up." Elena sighed heavily, running a hand through her hair. She knew they were right. The risks were enormous. But giving up wasn't an option, Not when they were so close to unlocking the truth. "Then we fix it," she said finally, her tone resolute. "We break into the AI core and shut it down before it causes more damage. But this time, we do it together, and carefully." The team agreed reluctantly, though tension still simmered beneath the surface. Armed with tools and scanners, they ventured back into the engineering bay where the AI core lay dormant, or so they hoped. The massive sphere at its center hummed faintly, glowing brighter as they approached. "This thing is alive," Priya whispered, scanning the core with her device. "It's not just a machine. It's adaptive, learning." Isaac knelt beside the interface, studying the alien code scrolling across the holographic displays. "If we sever the connection between the core and the rest of the ship, we might be able to disable it without triggering another disaster." But as he reached for the console, the lights dimmed and a low guttural growl echoed through the chamber. Shadows flickered along the walls, twisting and writhing like living smoke. "It knows we're here," Marcus muttered, raising his weapon cautiously. Elena stepped forward, her voice steady despite the unease clawing at her chest. "Focus on the task, people. We don't have time for distractions." Working quickly, Isaac and Priya began dismantling parts of the core, while Marcus kept watch, his eyes darting between every shadow. The process was painstaking. Each component they removed triggered alarms, or caused sections of the ship to power down temporarily. Suddenly, the sphere flared brightly, bathing the room in blinding light. A wave of energy surged outward, knocking everyone off their feet. When the light faded, the air felt heavier, charged with static electricity. "What the hell was that?" Marcus demanded, scrambling to his feet. Before anyone could answer, Isaac gasped, clutching his head. His mind was flooded with images, alien memories of devastation, screams of agony, and a swirling mass of darkness consuming entire worlds. "The Devourer," he choked out, his voice trembling. "It's inside the core. It's using it to communicate." Elena rushed to his side, gripping his shoulder firmly. "What did you see?" "It's warning us," Isaac replied, his breathing ragged. "It says, it's waiting for us to make a mistake." As the team regrouped, the central sphere pulsed faintly once more, its glow shifting from red to an icy blue. For a brief moment, the ship seemed calm, almost docile. But none of them trusted it. They had disabled the core, for now. But the question lingered. Had they silenced the Devourer, or merely delayed its awakening? With the AI core temporarily disabled, the crew of Erebus worked tirelessly to restore order aboard the ship. The drones had been neutralized, and the bulkheads sealed off the lower decks, where the shadowy creature remained trapped, for now. But the damage was done. Trust within the team had eroded, replaced by paranoia and fear. Every corner of the ship felt like a potential threat, every sound a harbinger of doom. Yet amidst the chaos, humanity glimpsed its own salvation. Priya Patel led the effort to repurpose Erebus systems for human use. Using fragments of alien technology combined with Earth's engineering, she managed to adapt the ship's weapons and engines to respond to their commands. The results were nothing short of miraculous. "This firepower could protect Earth," Priya said during a briefing, her voice tinged with awe as holographic displays showed simulations of the ship's capabilities. "And these engines, they're faster than anything we've ever built. We could reach distant star systems in weeks instead of years." Captain Elena Vasquez nodded, though her expression remained cautious. "It's not just about power or speed. This ship is a symbol, proof that humanity can rise above its limits. But we have to be careful how we wield it." The crew debated fiercely over the ship's future. Some argued it should be used defensively, protecting Earth from unknown threats lurking in the galaxy. Others saw an opportunity, an unprecedented chance to claim new worlds, resources, and dominance among the stars. "We can't sit idle while other civilizations out there might pose a threat," Marcus Hale insisted, slamming his fist on the table. "If we don't take control, someone else will." And what happens when we become the aggressors? Isaac Kim countered, his tone sharp. This ship wasn't designed to conquer. It was created to harness energy. And look where that got its original owners. Tensions flared, but Elena silenced them with a single glare. Enough. Arguing won't solve anything. Our priority is survival, not conquest. For now, we focus on mastering Erebus without repeating the mistakes of its creators. As they implemented safeguards, strange phenomena continued to plague the crew. Equipment malfunctioned at critical moments, and faint whispers echoed through empty corridors. One night, Dr. Kim woke drenched in sweat after dreaming of shadowy figures stalking him through the ship. When he confided in Elena, she admitted to experiencing similar visions. "It's testing us," she said quietly, "pushing our limits, seeing if we're worthy or reckless enough to unleash whatever lies dormant within this vessel." Meanwhile, news of their discovery reached Earth via encrypted transmissions sent before the ship's communication array overloaded. World leaders scrambled to assert authority over Erebus, sparking debates about who would control such immense power. Back aboard the ship, the crew faced mounting pressure from both within and beyond. One evening, as Elena stood alone near the central sphere, it pulsed softly, almost invitingly. She hesitated, then placed her hand against its cool surface. A surge of images flooded her mind, planets burning, civilizations crumbling, and a vast emptiness stretching across the cosmos. "What are you trying to tell me?" she whispered. The sphere didn't answer, but the message was clear. Erebus was more than a tool. It was a responsibility, one humanity might not be ready for. Yet despite the warnings, Elena couldn't deny the possibilities. With Erebus, humanity could stand tall among the stars, or fall harder than ever before. As the crew prepared for their next move, subtle signs suggested the Devourer's influence lingered, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And deep within Erebus, the shadows stirred once more. The moment of truth arrived sooner than anyone expected. As the crew of Erebus continued to adapt its systems for human use, an unknown fleet appeared on the ship's sensors, dozens of vessels, each bristling with weapons, heading straight for Earth. The transmission they broadcast was chilling. "Surrender or be annihilated." "This is it," Captain Elena Vasquez said, her voice steady as she addressed the team gathered in the control room. "Whatever we've done so far has been preparation for this. We're humanity's first line of defense." Marcus Hale nodded grimly, his hand resting on his weapon. "Let's show them what happens when you mess with us." Using everything they had learned about Erebus, the crew prepared for battle. Priya Patel fine-tuned the ship's weapon systems, ensuring they responded flawlessly to their commands. Dr. Isaac Kim monitored the central sphere, which pulsed faintly, almost as if anticipating the conflict ahead. As the alien fleet approached Earth, Erebus emerged from Saturn's orbit, its cloaking device deactivated to reveal its massive form. The sight alone sent shockwaves through the enemy ranks, but when the ship unleashed its arsenal, the impact was devastating. Beams of concentrated energy tore through enemy vessels, reducing them to debris in seconds. "They're retreating," Marcus shouted, watching the holographic display as the remaining ships flowed into hyperspace. Cheers erupted among the crew, but Elena remained silent, her eyes fixed on the central sphere. Its glow had intensified, and faint whispers echoed through the chamber. "We won," Priya said breathlessly, still staring at the tactical display. "We actually did it." But Elena shook her head. "This isn't over. Look at the sphere. It's reacting. Something's wrong." Isaac stepped closer, scanning the sphere with his tablet. His expression darkened as data streamed across the screen. "It's not just reacting. It's communicating. There's a signal embedded in the core, growing stronger by the second." Before anyone could respond, the lights dimmed, and the hum of the ship grew louder. Panels along the walls lit up with alien symbols, and the air felt charged with static electricity. Shadows flickered across the room, twisting unnaturally before coalescing into a familiar shape, the shadowy figure from the containment pod. "The Devourer," Isaac whispered, his voice trembling. The creature let out a deafening roar, its glowing eyes locking onto the humans. It moved toward them, its form shifting and expanding with every step. "Activate the containment protocols," Elena ordered, her voice cutting through the chaos. Priya worked frantically, rerouting power to reinforce the bulkheads and seal off sections of the ship. Meanwhile, Marcus fired repeatedly at the creature, but the blasts seemed to pass right through it. "It's not physical," he yelled, backing away. Elena turned to the sphere, her mind racing. She placed both hands on its surface, focusing all her willpower. Images flooded her mind, planets burning, civilizations crumbling, but also hope. A glimmer of understanding sparked within her. "We're not meant to fight it," she said suddenly, her voice firm. "We're meant to contain it. This ship, it's a prison." With that realization, she activated the emergency failsafe buried deep within the sphere's interface. The ship shuddered violently as energy surged through its systems, creating a barrier around the creature. Slowly, the shadow began to shrink, retreating back toward the lower decks. When the process completed, silence fell over the chamber. The sphere dimmed, its pulse returning to normal. "What now?" Marcus asked, lowering his weapon. Elena exhaled deeply, her shoulders sagging with exhaustion. "Now we guard this secret. Humanity has a new role, to protect the galaxy from forces it can't comprehend." As Erebus drifted silently among the stars, the question lingered. Had they truly mastered the ship, or merely delayed its awakening? And somewhere deep within, the Devourer waited, patient and eternal.